Hello, Jaguars. Today we are going to be moving on to Lesson 16. And Lesson 16 deals with visual models and the adding and subtracting of fractions. All right, so take a look at the target and read it along with me, okay? I can build visual models of fractions to add and subtract fractions with the same unit. All right? And our success criteria is here. I know I am successful when I can first identify the units of a fraction, then draw models to represent the fraction, then decompose an improper fraction into two fractions, and draw a number line to represent addition or subtraction of fractions. All right? So let's get started. All right, Jaguars, we're going to be starting to look at our fraction units. And when we look at the units, we are usually writing the number of each unit in standard form. And when we think about it in standard form, the suffix will normally end with a th or a ths, depending on if there's multiple parts of each fraction. The only exception of the ending with ths is when the number or the number in the number in the denominator ends with a 1, 2, or a 3. Okay, and I'm going to show us examples from 1 through 10. For when there's just one part, we just think of that as one whole. It's not broken up, there's no parts, or there's no other parts. When it's 2, it's not tooths, because a tooth is pretty much something that's in your mouth right now, or that you used to chew. But when we think about twos, it's halves. Okay? It's also going to be a little bit different when we get past 10. Okay? So keep in mind that halves is only when there are two parts. When it's 3 parts, or if any of the numbers end with 3, so besides 13, it'll be 23rd, 24th, because 3 says thirds. Okay? But then when we get to 4th, we see the number 4 written out, and then THS. Same with 5ths. Okay? FIF is when we start to abbreviate 5, or not abbreviate, when we add a suffix to 5, we change the VE to an F. Then we put the TH or the S. 6ths, we see the number 6, THS. Same with 7ths. 8ths, we see 8 spelled out, but then it already has a T. So here we just need to add in the HS. Okay? 9ths, they took out the E and added THS. And 10ths, 10, THS. Okay? This would be a very helpful chart to make for when you're writing down the fractions into their unit forms, especially from when we go into the exercise in the next slide and when we go on to the activity. Okay, so if you want to take some time to write these down, go for it. All right, we're going to move on to our small activity where I'm going to show you how this would look like. All right, Jaguars, so we're going to try out what we just learned about writing a fraction into its unit form. So I did the first and the 5th one because those are two different areas for you so we could see how it works. So we started out with 1/4. So when I write it out, I wrote down the amount, which is 1, which we see in the numerator, and then the denominator is a 4. So that means we have fourths. Okay? So I would like you to pause it right now, pause the video, and try out numbers 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So pause, and once you play, I will continue. All right. So now We are looking at 2, 3, and 4. So if we're going to put our answers for that, we have 1/3, 1/5, and 1/2. Okay. Halves, what you saw in the other slide, is when there's more than one. So it's half for one or halves for multiple. All right, number 5. I did this one also. We had 2/6, okay? So I wrote down the amount of our unit, which is 2, which we see from our numerator, and then 6 is our unit based on our denominator. Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to try number 6, 7, and 8 on your own. Pause the video right now so you can try it and then continue to see how you did. Okay, so for number 6, we have 3/8. We have number 7, which is 2/5. And number 8 is 4/9. Okay? How'd you do? Well, I hope you did well. If not, try and do some fractions on your own and let me know how you did. Okay, we're going to move on to our next strategy for this lesson. All right, the next part of this lesson will deal with decomposing an improper fraction into a mixed number. Okay, so what is an improper fraction? Well, an improper fraction is when the fraction shows, or a fraction has a numerator that is greater than the denominator. Okay, and then a mixed number shows a whole number and a fraction together. So I'm going to show us what it looks like. Okay, so here on our first example, we have 4/3. Okay, if I want to draw out 4/3, okay, here's 1/3, or here's going to be 3/3, and then our 4/3. Okay, so what would that look like? Well, what I would like to do is use a number bond to show how this 4/3 is broken up into 2 different fractions. Okay, so we have our 3/3 here from our first picture, and here we have 1/3. Okay, it's just like when you draw your pictures out. If you drew 4/3 up here and you do your number bond branching out to them, that's what it would look like. We just decomposed it. But now if we're going to write it as a mixed number, okay, let's look at our 2 fractions. We have 3/3 plus 1/3. Well, if a numerator and denominator are the same, that equals 1. So now I have 1 plus 1/3, and that would get me 1 1/3. And that's our mixed number. Okay? Let's try out 9/4, because this one's a little bit trickier. So 9/4, what I want to do, I'm going to draw fourths. So then there's 4, 8. Okay, so then now, if I'm going to draw my 9/4, here's 4/4, 8/4, and then our 9/4. Okay, now, what would this look like? Because last one we only had 1 hole. This one we ended up with 2 holes. So let's see. If I did 9/4 has a number bond connecting to all of those, well, if I draw it down here, 9/4, that's 4/4, 4/4, and 1/4. And they all add up together to make a certain mixed number. Now each time the numerator and the denominator are the same, that's going to be 1. So that's 1 plus 1, because down here we have the same 4/4, plus 1/4. That gets us 2 and 1/4. All right. The next slide, we're going to be putting it to practice. All right. So let's get ready and move on. All right, Jaguars. We're going to try to convert these fractions into mixed numbers. Okay? So I'm going to work on this first one with you, and then after that, I would like you to pause the video and try out the other 3 on your own. Okay? So let's get started. On the first one, I have 3 halves. So if I'm going to draw that out, this is 2 halves. Let me do a different color. This is 2 halves. And then I need to have 3 halves, so I need to draw another one. And now I'll highlight my 3rd half. So now this 3 halves breaks up or decomposes into these 2 figures, which is 2 halves, actually the 2 halves, and this is 1 half. Okay, well our 2 halves, that's actually going to equal 1. So now we have 1 plus 1 half, which equals 1 1/2. Okay? Now, I want you to try out the others on your own, okay, on a separate sheet of paper, and then we're going to go over them after you finish trying it. So pause the video right now and give it a shot. Okay, I really hope you paused the video and then you're trying it back, because I'm going to say, welcome back. Let's try out and see what you just did and see if you got it correct. Okay, over here we have 5/3. So there's 3/3. And then this is 5/3. So our 5/3 breaks into that. And then here we have 3/3, which is 1, plus 2/3, which gets us 1 2/3. Okay. Next one, we have 7/4. So we have 7/4. That's going to break into, here's 4. Five, 6, 7. Okay, so this is 4/4, which equals 1, and 3/4. So that equals 1 3/4. And then last one, 8/5. So I'm going to draw a figure. There's 5/5. And now there's 8/5. So now we have 5/5 here, which is 1, plus 3/5, and we get 1 3/5. Okay, how'd you do? Well, I really hope you got them all, or if you're struggling a little bit, that's okay. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to move on to do some practicing with what we just learned. And then tomorrow we're going to work on putting it all together for adding and subtracting our fractions, okay? Good luck, Jaguars, and please let me know if you are struggling and I can do a Zoom call or a Zoom conference to teach you guys doing live teaching, okay? All right, take care.